episode 4, what we talked about was making as little changes as possible to this next can. We did talk about making it a 3x3x4, but what we ended up doing is making a 3x3x5. We're going to be using a half teaspoon instead of a 1 teaspoon like we did last time. We're using half teaspoon, so much thinner layers. And instead of having our insert in there, we are going to forcibly push the insert in. We're going to get started on layering in our 1095 and our 4% nickel powder. So let's get busy. We're going to start with the 1095, and we're just going to sprinkle that in there. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? I'm not worried about it being perfect. We just need to get it as evenly as possible. Maybe we did a half teaspoon last time. I can't remember. I think we did. Oh well. We're trying something completely different here. We're gonna get the vertical press on it, and we're gonna shove our insert in there. So it'll have a different look to it for sure. Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna turn out or not. It's gonna be cool. I mean, it'll be close. I have an idea for a different one here on the next canister. Remember that the real goal of this one is to make sure we're able to get it out of the can without welding it any further. That is the goal. Hard spots in the 1095. And kind of. That'll help us. We were getting a dome in there, so we'll have to vibrate it again right at the end. I'm gonna do another one of these, and I'm just gonna, when I do it on the next one, I'm just gonna pour it right in the center and let it dome up, and then we'll vibrate it down for the whole thing on the next one. Like I won't sift it across there like I've been doing. It'll still dome on this one, and we'll get a little bit of movement amongst the layers, but I'm thinking we're gonna get a lot more movement if we just dump in the center and then vibrate it down. These are just massive cans. We're adding slightly more powder to this because we don't have the insert in there. We vibrate this down. So we're gonna take this piece of 2-inch 15 and 20, it's about an 1/8 inch wide, and we're gonna ram it down through there. Yes, I know that it's not 3 inches wide, but that's okay. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna take it here, and we're gonna hammer this down through there till we get all the way to the bottom. All right, we're all the way at the bottom. So pull that out. We're gonna go back down through there again. Pull that out. All right, now we got that in there. Now we just need to push that, compact all that, and weld it in. That is what we're gonna do. So we'll see you guys over the press. Oh yeah. Difficult. That's the first one. That's solid already. Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna take this down. It's all ready to form the can, push the can out, and nothing's falling out. Holy cow. We're gonna keep it in the can though, because we want to make sure we get credit for this guy. But that's insane. Like this whole can on the back side here is open, but nothing's moving around. Like nothing's coming out of it. So that tells me we're welded, we're at least stuck. We're gonna do a vertical press now. Technically, we're still in the can. The lid is popped off. There's no powder coming out. We're gonna squish this back down. We're gonna continue working it. We're gonna get this thing squished down pretty far in the vertical. Oh, wow. That's just insane. That's like, I mean, this thing heated up, I mean, almost worked like a crucible did. It got hot enough inside there to where it's solidified all that powder together. That can came apart with in the second heat. So yeah, that's outstanding. We're gonna do one more vertical press on it, and then we have to let it cool down so we can take the can off of it. Once we get the can off of it, we'll start drawing it back. We'll draw it down to our 2x2 that we need. I mean, this is just insane. That is insane. We're just gonna let that sit right there and we'll let it cool down. Now we gotta cut all this can off, if you can call it a can anymore. It doesn't resemble a can at all. But we're gonna cut it off and we're gonna see what our billet looks like. We need to get new cutoff wheel on. Shouldn't take that much. Basically floating in there. We're gonna take and just cut these sides down. Well, that looks real promising there, folks. Like really good. Holy cow, that looks so good. I've cleaned up the corners that we cut into. No big deal though. That's not a big deal. What's amazing about this is this was only 2 heats, and then we had to go do the vertical press, and it wasn't falling out after 2 heats. That is pretty cool. Bottom piece doesn't want to come off. Well, this was actually the top piece here. Might have to take a hammer to it. All right, so we got a little crack in there. Wow. This does not need any more forge welding on it. We got a little bit of a line across the top, maybe a little bit right there. But we're gonna go clean this up on the grinder, and then we'll stick it in our forge. So I have a theory on why this stuck and was a much better welding job than our last piece, our last billet we did. This, for starters, was in the forge for about 45 minutes to an hour while we were letting the forge heat up. And then we had to readjust our squaring dies on the press to be bigger because the can was too big. It was slightly bigger, a bigger can than our last one. So there's that. Especially since the can opened up and came apart on the second heat, what I'm thinking happened is that can got to soak in there for so long that the internal temperatures was high enough to make all the little granules of steel in there stick together enough to where when it did open up, nothing came out, like nothing came out when we opened this up. So that's something to note for the next time. The vertical press, absolutely. I knew that's what we needed to do. We didn't do it on the first one. We intentionally didn't do it on the first one. But this has a few, like, very minute cracks on the corners, surface cracks. I'm not going to worry about those. I don't think the pattern is going to be what we want. If it is, cool. We'll move on with the challenge. But the steps that we took on this, the extended heating time, the vertical press, that's definitely the two I think that we have to continue in the future on any canister that we're doing. We're gonna put a stick on this, throw it in the forge, put our squaring dies in the press, and draw this down to a 2x2 so that we can cut a sliver off of it and see what our pattern is. All right, put this guy in there. We're gonna let it heat up slow, and then we'll turn the gas up. Okay. We need to draw this down to 2" by 2" square. Moved pretty good. Not bad, not bad. So the last heat was really good. No craziness happened. At times you can get fissures that open up. Nothing like that happened. We're good to go. On to this heat. A little bit harder press this time. Give it one pass each side through. It's looking really good. Really excited to see the pattern in this. See if it changed at all. It's moving better underneath the press for sure. Got a little, not sure if those are from the scale or what. We got a few little fissures opening up. think we're gonna let this cool. We're close enough. We really are. We're gonna put this in the forge, turn the forge off, let it cool down, see what we got going on. Yeah. So there's no structure to our billet. Like in normal canister, you have some pretty hard structure in there. It's making sure everything stays together, making sure everything doesn't come apart. And there's nothing like that in here. So what's happening is we're getting a bunch of little tiny fissures opening up. And as you forge those, they get bigger. So we're going to stop right now, and we're going to say that this one, unfortunately, is not a success. What needs to happen is, and I think it won't ever be a success, but I'm going to say this right now. What needs to happen is you get it through, you got to compress this thing by a third, right? So we're going to have to do a vertical and a horizontal press on this. So we have to take this thing down to almost a cube. We were at a perfect cube. We were at a cuboid this last time. But I'm thinking, and while it's in the can, we need that structure around it to hold it all together. And it's just not happening with the thinner material we're using to make our cans out of. So what I'm going to go do for the next one is we're going to go buy some 3x3 by 3/16 inch wall square tubing and get some 3/16 inch plate for the caps. And we are going to weld all that together so that we can make sure that we have a good canister to really compress this metal in. Now, is it usable? Yeah, it's usable. I don't know right now if the pattern turned out. I'm going to say it's not going to, but we don't know yet. We absolutely don't know yet. Until we get that out of the annealing process here, get the stick off of it, and cut ourselves a slice of it. Did this get us the pattern? And if it did get us a pattern that is really close to feather, we'll repeat this exact same process we just did, but in a more structurally sound canister. Right now we're using like 1/8 inch wall, and that's just not enough. It's not enough. And there's so many seams in it, you know, so all the seams are coming apart. It's not enough. So we need to go buy some tubing and make sure we do it right. But for this one, I'm really just keen on to see, okay, what does the pattern look like? So we're going to get that cut off and we'll check it out. So hope you guys join us on the next one. That's where we're going to see if our pattern turned out in episode 6. We'll leave you right here. And as always, stay safe out there. Be well. And forge on.